Have you ever scrolled through your social feed and just felt this strange sense of emptiness? Like you're absolutely drowning in information, but somehow starving for something, well, real.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Or maybe watched a public figure get huge traction for saying something outrageous, while the quiet, thoughtful voices just seem to fade.
Happens all the time.
Feeling a lot of us share, I think. And it brings us right to the core question for this deep dive, which is based on this fascinating stack of articles, research notes that you shared with us.
Right.
In this age where we have access to so much information, why does the modern world seem to, well, celebrate ignorance and mediocrity,
Superficiality.
while depth and intellect get pushed aside?
Exactly. Why are thoughtful reflections silent? Why are thinkers fading while, entertainers get all the limelight?
It's a critical question.
So today, we're going to really try and unpack why, as one of the pieces you sent us puts it, stupidity has become a cultural virtue.
Strong words. Yeah. And what that might indicate about, quote, the death of wisdom in our time.
Okay.
What we uncover today, and this is drawn directly from all the materials you provided, it might just transform how you see the world. And maybe even yourself.
And I think to really understand why we're this glorification of what feels like a lack of wisdom, we first have to get clear on what wisdom actually is.
Good starting point.
Because it's often misunderstood,
Yeah.
right? Wisdom isn't just being intelligent.
No.
It's not simply having tons of data or information or even like a huge amount of knowledge.
Right. It's different.
Exactly. One of the philosophical essays that it really nails this, kind of echoing Socrates.
Yes, Tagius.
Yeah, who famously said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing."
That's profound.
It is. And that quote, as your notes highlight, really points to wisdom being born out of, it's this quiet, almost profound awareness of how complex life is.
Yeah.
And a deep refusal to make those quick, shallow judgments.
Resisting the easy answer?
Precisely. It's earned, through experience, reflection. It's not just given. It's something you feel, you embody, not something you broadcast.
All right. Not something you flaunt.
It definitely not. So our mission today is really to dive into this cultural shift, but starting by appreciating what wisdom really means.
That distinction feels so critical.
Yeah.
Because it really does feel like our society has shifted its compass somehow, doesn't it?
It certainly seems that way.
We've moved away from valuing that kind of depth, that quiet understanding. And now there's this almost insatiable craving for immediacy, for the instant thing.
Right, the quick fix.
Exactly. We don't seem to revere that slow, thoughtful unfolding of insight anymore. Instead, like one of the articles you gave us starkly put it, we worship the quick fix, the viral quote, the bite-sized meme.
Bite-sized everything.
Yeah. And when you look at who gets prominence today, it's pretty striking. Your sources point to actual examples. Public figures elevated not for their contribution or, intellectual rigor.
But for controversy.
Yes. Or influencers profiting from shock value, not substance.
Oh, definitely.
And even politicians who seem to simplify really complex issues, maybe to manipulate, rather than actually educate or inspire real understanding.
It reduces everything.
It does. It's as if, in this new landscape, being loud means you get heard, and being reflective means, well, you're irrelevant. And the consequence, which you highlighted in your research, is a generation that's just drowning in information, but starving for actual wisdom.
Drowning but starving. That's a good way to put it.
It reminds me of Nietzsche's warning, Friedrich Nietzsche. He suggested that when people are no longer able to distinguish between truth and illusion, society decays.
Chilling.
And looking at the evidence you compiled, that decay feels, well, kind of evident. We see it in the breakdown of meaningful conversations,
Definitely.
the widespread rejection of nuance, everything's black and white.
Right, no gray areas allowed.
And how so much public discourse has just devolved into a shouting match.
Yeah.
Not a search for understanding.
Performative outrage, often.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? When was the last time you saw a calm, intelligent conversation actually go viral?
Rarely, if ever.
Or a political leader admit they didn't know something? Genuinely open to learning.
That feels almost impossible now.
Right.
That's a really powerful observation. And if we look back, historically, something your sources touched on, it really emphasizes this shift.
How so?
Well, in the ancient world, wisdom was like the highest virtue, unequivocally.
By philosophers.
Exactly. The Greeks revered the philosopher, literally the lover of wisdom.
Lover of wisdom, yeah.
The Egyptians saw wisdom as divine, a gift. And Confucius, the Chinese sage, talked endlessly about cultivating inner harmony, moral clarity.
Yeah.
That was the path to a wise life.
It was central.
Absolutely central. Yet today, pursuing that feels almost quaint, antiquated, even laughable to some people.
Yeah, it kind of does.
We might say we admire the wise, but as you pointed out in your analysis, we rarely actually reward them.
No, we don't.
Instead, We glorify the entertainer, not necessarily the enlightened.
That's a great distinction. Entertainers, not enlightener.
And Carl Jung, the psychologist you cited, he had this really cutting observation.
Hey, what was that?
He said, thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge.
Ouch, but true.
Yeah. And if you connect that to the modern landscape it seems pretty clear that our society has increasingly replaced genuine thought with snap opinions.
Hot takes?
Hot takes. Exact. Deep study with endless scrolling and meaningful dialogue with aggressive, often just performative debate.
And what's particularly fascinating, and maybe a bit unsettling from the research you gathered, is this argument that this shift, it isn't just accidental.
No.
It's actually, in many ways, kind of engineered.
Exactly. That comes through strongly. One of the studies in your pile, the one focusing on media consumption patterns, it really highlights this. It shows how algorithms, whether on social media or news sites, are often designed to favor rage and extreme oversimplification because it drives engagement. It gets clicks, shares, comments.
Ah, the engagement metrics.
Right. They reward those impulsive reactions, the quick like, not careful consideration or nuance.
So the system itself prefers the shallow stuff.
In many ways, yes. And it's not just digital. Your research on educational trends points to similar things. Systems often underfunded, overstandardized.
Or just on tests.
Focused on tests, producing compliant workers, maybe rather than thoughtful, critically minded citizens. This isn't just a side effect. It feels like a structural push.
Okay, so if it's engineered, if it's structural, that begs the question, who actually benefits when we stop thinking for ourselves?
Right. Qui bono?
Who profits when we're too distracted to question the narrative, or when genuine wisdom gets sidelined?
That is the critical question.
Yeah.
And Noam Chomsky, the philosopher you referenced,
he
once famously put it something like, the smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum.
Ah, so it looks like free debate.
Exactly. Think about that. We get the illusion of choice, the illusion of freedom, of being well-informed.
But the boundaries are already set.
Potentially, yes. If Chomsky's insight, combined with the other findings in your sources, is accurate, a lot of what we consume might be curated, manipulated, subtly designed to keep us from truly waking up to deeper realities.
That's quite a thought.
It is. But here's the good news, something that really resonated with me going through your notes.
Correct.
Wisdom hasn't actually died.
Oh.
No, it feels more like it's gone into hiding, like a seed waiting under the surface.
I like that image.
It survives, in the quiet moments we still manage to find, in the unread books on our shelves.
Waiting patiently.
Yeah, in those long, unhurried conversations we might still have with a close friend. And crucially, in solitude, which ironically most people seem to fear now.
True.
It survives in you, the listener, if you choose to look inward sometimes instead of always outward.
Wisdom in hiding. That's a hopeful image, but it makes me wonder, if it is in hiding, where did it go? And why did we, collectively allow it to disappear, or at least become so marginalized?
That's the next layer, isn't it?
Yeah. To understand that, we probably need to look at how the very structure of our modern world pushes us away from introspect towards constant distraction.
Okay.
Because in past eras, pursuing wisdom wasn't some niche hobby, right? It was often woven into life itself.
It was valued differently.
You see it in Plato's dialogues, Marcus Aurelius' meditation, Lao Tzu's teachings. These weren't just for an elite few. They were seen as cultural pillars.
Part of a well-lived life.
Exactly. Wisdom wasn't just respected, it was almost expected.
And now?
Now, fast forward. We live, undeniably, in what people call the attention economy.
Right, where attention is the product.
Precisely. And as one of your articles points out, your focus. That's the main currency. And every app, every notification, every piece of content is engineered to spend that currency for you.
They're very good at it.
Incredibly good. Apps hijacking your nervous system with dopamine hits. News designed not for understanding, but for provoking outrage, keeping you scrolling.
Gotta keep scrolling.
Even schools, as your notes on education suggest, are pressured for quick, measurable results, reducing students to stats, teachers to test preppers.
It squeezes out the space.
Totally. There's just no time to think deeply, only to react, to consume, to keep up.
It's exhausting.
It is. And in that kind of world, wisdom becomes, inconvenient.
How so?
It slows things down. It asks difficult questions without easy, satisfying answers.
The uncomfortable questions.
Right. And so society starts to discard it. Maybe not deliberately, like some big conspiracy.
More like a gradual drift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gradually, systematically, almost invisibly. And this, I think, is how stupidity gets glorified. Not through a conscious choice, but through this collective drift towards what's easy, fast, immediately gratifying.
Makes sense.
Because thinking critically, that means challenging your own assumptions. That's uncomfortable. And seeking wisdom means walking a road with no guarantee of comfort or likes or validation. And today's culture just doesn't reward that.
No, it rewards certainty, even shallow certainty.
Yeah. It reminds me of Neil Post, Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Classic, powerful book.
He wrote, "What we need are not more fact, but more meaningful ways to interpret them."
And that's exactly what we're missing.
And you can see it in your sources. We are drowning in data, but starved for scent, overstimulated, under-reflective, constantly connected, but often, ironically, deeply lost.
And this leads us to what I think is maybe the most dangerous part of this whole thing. Something you captured really well in your reflections, which is many people don't even recognize the absence of wisdom anymore.
Because it's just normal.
Exactly. Because stupidity has become so normalized, it's wrapped in humor, you know?
Right.
Made palatable through irony, embedded so deep in entertainment.
So foolishness becomes funny.
And then it becomes accepted. And once it's accepted, it's almost invisible. So let me just ask you, the listener, right now, how often do you actually consume content that challenges
Good question.
like really challenges you, makes you uncomfortable, not because it offends you, but because it demands you rethink something? When was the last time you just sat with a single thought for more than, say, 5 minutes without reaching for your phone?
It's harder than it sounds.
It really is. And these aren't accusations, obviously. They're just vital questions, because awareness has to be the first step to reclaiming what we might have lost without even noticing.
The awareness first.
And the profound cost of this, let's call it the death of wisdom. It isn't just intellectual. No, it's deeply emotional, spiritual, and societal. When people stop seeking wisdom, they just become more susceptible to manipulation.
Easier to influence.
Much easier.
Yep.
More reactive, more tribal, more fragmented. And the result, as we see in so much of the analysis you shared, is a world with more noise, more conflict, more division.
And less understanding.
Surprisingly little genuine understanding. This isn't just a cultural shift. It feels like a crisis of meaning.
A crisis of meaning.
Wow. Remember Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust?
Yes, man's search for meaning.
Right. He wrote that when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure.
And our culture.
Our culture, as you observed in your notes, often seems obsessed with pleasure, but it feels fundamentally starving.
That hits hard.
And wisdom is that bridge, that crucial link. It tells us not just how to live, but why.
The why.
Why. And maybe that's why it's so feared, or at least avoided in this current.
Why do you say feared?
Because true wisdom, it often demands that we confront the chaos inside ourselves.
Right.
Look honestly at our own insecurities, our ignorance, our complete.
The messy stuff.
The really messy stuff. It invites us to look in the mirror and ask, who am I? Not what I buy or wear or how many followers.
But who am I underneath all that?
Exactly. When everything external is stripped away. And that question, it can be terrifying.
Yeah. Avoidance is easier.
So much easier. It's easier to distract yourself or just laugh at stupidity than to sit in silence, profound weight, the responsibility of wisdom.
But the fact that people are listening to this.
Exactly. The fact that you, the listener, are still here right now, that truly means something. It means that somewhere inside you there is that hunger for something.
Okay, so if there is this hunger, and if wisdom is just in hiding, not actually dead, what are the first steps? How do we start reclaiming it?
Where do we begin?
It begins, I think, and the articles you shared on cognitive science really drive this home.
Yeah.
It begins with reclaiming our attention.
Guarding your focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you choose to focus on literally shapes who you become. You have to guard your mind like a temple, as they say.
Don't let the algorithms decide.
Right. Don't let algorithms define your beliefs or how you see the world. A good rule of thumb might be, read more than you scroll, think more than you react, reflect more than you speak.
Easier said than done, but crucial.
Absolutely. Second, we have to learn to question what gets glorified.
Look past the hype.
Exact. Just because something's popular or someone's famous doesn't automatically mean they're valuable or wise.
Yeah.
Your sources show how easily charisma gets mistaken for character.
Or entertainment for enlightenment.
Yeah. We need to actively separate those. Third, and this is maybe one of the hardest in our busy world, seek silence.
Find the quiet.
Yeah. Wisdom doesn't scream, it whispers. And you have to be still enough, quiet enough to actually hear. Make time for solitude. Take a walk without your phone.
Radical.
Ask yourself difficult questions and don't rush for the answer. Just let the discomfort of not knowing sit there for a bit.
Embrace the uncertainty.
And finally, this is so important. Surround yourself with ideas and people that genuinely elevate. As your notes on Community suggest, wisdom is...
But so is stupidity.
Exactly. So build your own sort of philosophical tribe, people who value growth, depth, truth. Choose your influences very, very carefully.
That's great practical advice. And building on that, this glorification of ignorance, it isn't just cultural, you know, it feels like a subtle spiritual erosion.
Spiritual erosion. Explain that.
Well, it kind of hollows out the individual soul. When wisdom fades, this emptiness rushes in, and nature abhors a vacuum, right?
Right.
So instead of silence leading to insight, we fill it with relentless stimuli. Distraction becomes the new meditation. Consumption becomes the new contemplation.
Wow.
And the self, which could be this temple of inquiry, ends up just being a billboard for fleeting trend. It's more than just social. It feels like a profound spiritual displacement.
Okay, I see that.
Because true wisdom, at its core, it's doubly spiritual. Not necessarily religious, but spiritual in the sense that it transcends the purely material.
Looking beyond the surface.
Yes, it teaches us to ask not just how to live, but why we're here. It seeks out those eternal patterns beneath the daily chaos.
The big question.
The big question. But as your analysis of modern materialism points out, in a society driven by what you can see and measure, those questions aren't just neglected. They're often ridiculed.
Yeah, that's too deep. You think too much.
Exactly. As if thinking were a disease and depth a liability. And this subtle disdain for introspection, it's more than just a quirk. It's become institutionalized.
How so? Institutionalized?
Our systems. Education rewarding memorization over imagination. Workplaces rewarding productivity over reflection. Social media, as we said, rewarding polarity over nuance.
So the structures reinforce it.
They often do. And we wonder why wisdom seems to have vanished. It hasn't vanished. It feels like it's been systematically displaced.
Okay, so if it's been displaced, that critical question again.
Yeah.
Who benefits?
Right. Who benefits from this displacement?
Yeah.
Well, think about it. When people lose the ability to think critically, reflect deeply, they become, quite simply, easier to control.
Compliant.
Distracted minds are often compliant minds. Shallow people are often more easily manipulated than thoughtful ones.
Makes sense from a control perspective.
This is why advertisers generally don't want you critically thinking about your desires. They want you to feel them and buy.
Feel and buy.
And as some of the more critical analyses in your notes suggest, governments too. They often prefer obedience over a truly wise, questioning citizen.
A challenge to authority.
Potentially. Epicurus, the Stoic you cited, said, only the educated.
Right.
But today, it seems we often confuse education with indoctrination. We teach people what to think, but maybe not enough about how.
Facts versus critical thinking.
Exactly. We flood them with opinions, but starve them of genuine perspective. And slowly, silently, the soul just forgets how to. And that, I think, is the true death of wisdom. Not when it's attacked, but when it's simple.
That's chilling.
I mean, challenge yourself. Observe what's truly celebrated in our... When did you last see a film genuinely celebrating a wise person? Not just a genius or a rebel, but someone embodying true wisdom.
I swear, very rare.
Or a trending video honoring humility, deep moral clarity. We just don't celebrate those values much anymore.
No.
And in fact, as your analysis of marketing trends shows, we've kind of commodified everything. Even virtue itself.
Authenticity is a brand.
Exactly. Authenticity is a marketing tool. Mindfulness is diluted into an app notification. Ancient sacred practices get rebranded as productivity hacks.
Oh, the productivity hacks.
Right. Meditation isn't about stillness. It's about increasing efficiency. Reading isn't about insight. It's about building your personal brand.
It feels cheapened.
It's more than ironic. It feels tragic. Like we've traded transcendence for transaction and lost that deeper thread connecting us to something.
Wow. Okay. That's a heavy picture.
It is. But here's the paradox, and this came through so beautifully in your notes.
There's a but.
There's a but. Even in this age of noise, that fundamental hunger for wisdom, absolutely. It whispers to us in quiet moments. It stirs when we feel that hollowness after hours of mind.
That emptiness again.
Yeah. It surfaces when we sit in nature and remember, even fleetingly, that life is so much more than just content and consumption. The human spirit still longs for truth, meaning, depth.
The deep stuff.
Abraham Maslow, the psychologist you mentioned, he called it the need for self-actualization.
Right. Becoming fully ourselves.
Yes. Not as society defines us, but as we are in our deepest essence. And that journey, that unfolding of self, it simply cannot happen without wisdom. Because you need more than knowledge or credentials. You need wisdom to tell you who you are beyond your role. Wisdom to remind you that happiness without purpose is often just anesthesia.
Just numbing the pain.
Right. Wisdom reconnects us to those ancient truths, echoed by every civilization worth remembering.
Like what?
Well, the Bhagavad Gita, as you noted, teaches that the wise see knowledge and action one.
Okay.
The Tao Te Ching reminds us, knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself. That's true wisdom.
Knowing yourself.
And even the Gospel of Thomas, that hidden text, records Jesus saying something like, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not, destroy.
Powerful.
All these diverse teachings from the ancient texts you shared, they point to the same profound truth. Wisdom isn't out there somewhere, waiting to be found like a lost artifact.
Where is it then?
It's within, often buried, under layers of noise, fear, fear, ego, distraction.
But it's there.
It's there, and it's still profoundly accessible for those willing to remember. But that remembering, that journey inward, effort, it takes a quiet courage.
What kind of courage?
The courage to be misunderstood by the crowd, the courage to step away from the mainstream sometimes, the courage to sit with uncomfortable truths that offer no instant dopamine hit, no quick reward, only the quiet, slow evolution.
That quiet courage, that's exactly what's needed. And it raises the question for everyone listening, will you answer that call? You don't need to become a scholar or a sage overnight to start this. You just need to become radically honest with yourself, with the world, with how you choose to live.
Radical honesty.
Because resurrecting wisdom doesn't start on a mountaintop or in a monastery. It begins right here.
Yeah.
In your everyday life.
How you observe, how you speak.
Exactly. How you choose what to value. It truly begins when you stop asking, what do I want right now? And start asking, what truly matters to my soul?
Shifting the question.
Yeah. And that shift, though subtle, can be utterly revolutionary. You start to see wisdom isn't about having all the right answers,
but asking the right questions.
The right, often difficult question. You stop rushing to fill every silence and start listening to the space between words.
The space.
You begin to see others, not just as opinions to judge or enemies to defeat, but maybe as mirror, reflecting parts of yourself you haven't understood yet.
Seeing connection instead of division.
And you start to experience life not as a race to be won, but as a profound mystery to be lived, to live wisely today. Honestly, it feels like an act of rebellion.
Rebellion against the tide?
Totally. You're pushing against this powerful tide that rewards instant gratification and punishes introspection. Choosing patience in a world addicted to speed.
Choosing truth when deception is...
Yes, and choosing depth in a culture that worships the surface. It's not an easy path, for sure.
Yeah.
But the insights you gather suggest it's the only one that leads somewhere truly real.
So the practical steps again, how do you begin?
Okay, practically. First, simplify. Wisdom needs space to breathe, right? It doesn't live in chaos.
Clear the clutter.
Clear the mental clutter.
Yes.
Limit exposure to meaningless noise. Think of it this way. What you allow into your attention becomes the architecture of your soul.
Wow. Architecture of the soul. I like that.
Second, read deeply, not just anything. Seek out those who've walked this path. Your sources mention Marcus Aurelius.
Perceptions shape reality.
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Breathing through suffering.
Carl Jung.
Facing your shadow to find the light.
Explore voices like Simone Weil, Alan Watts, Rumi, Krishnamurti, not to worship them, but just to remember humanity's incredible capacity for turning in, for listening deeply.
Remembering our potential.
Third, practice solitude. Wisdom comes through silence, not noise. Take walks without the phone. Sit in stillness.
Let boredom return.
Yes, allow boredom back in, because boredom can be the threshold to insight. Ask yourself those questions that make you tremble, not for immediate answers, just for the awakening.
The process, not the end.
Fourth, observe your life, truly, without judgment. How do you speak to others? What are you chasing and why? Are you guided by values or validation?
Consuming versus creating.
Escaping discomfort or learning from it? Just observe. Fifth, seek elevating conversation.
Find your tribe.
Not echo chamber. People who challenge you to grow, make you think, not just agree. This connection is rare, but vital. Wisdom is a shared flame, passed mind to mind, heart to heart.
It's communal too.
And finally, maybe most radically, learn to live slowly. Not lazily, not passive, intentionally. Slow down enough to really taste your food, to watch a sunset without distraction.
Be present.
Hear the tone beneath someone's word. Notice your own breath.
Yeah.
Recognize the sacred in the ordinary.
Be sacred in the ordinary.
Because wisdom, as your sources repeatedly emphasize, isn't just found in those big, extraordinary moments. It's found in how you live the ordinary one every single day.
That's where it lives.
Our ancestors knew this. Mystics, shamans, philosophers across cultures. They all taught the same truth, just in different ways. The wise aren't those who know the most,
but those who see most clearly.
Exactly. And that clarity, that deeper knowing, it's only possible when the mind is still, the heart is open, and the soul is genuinely listening.
Okay. So as we bring this deep dive toward a close, let's maybe remember what we've forgotten or what these sources helped us remember. Being loud, not the same as being right. Being famous, not the same as being wise. And being entertained is absolutely not the same enlightened.
Important distinctions.
And it's really internalized. The death of wisdom wasn't inevitable. It wasn't fate. It was a series of choices, individual, collective, and every choice first.
We can choose differently.
We absolutely have the power to revive wisdom, not as some abstract idea in old books, but as a living, breathing presence in our choices, our relationships, how we respond, even when nobody's...
Especially then, maybe.
Perhaps. And this isn't about condemning the modern world or running away from it. It's about healing ourselves within it.
Healing within.
Because the truth is, that stupidity we talked about, it isn't just out there. It lives in all of us, too. In our egos, our lazy moments, our desire for comfort over constant.
Owning our part.
Exactly. And that ultimately is where the real battle for wisdom is fought. Not in some comment section.
No.
But in the quiet, often unseen moments of decision will I scroll or will I reflect? Will I consume or will I create? Will I perform?
Those small choices matter.
They make all the difference, as your source foundly.
And now we come to that final revelation, the one we promised at the start of this deep dive. Maybe the most important truth of all, echoed so powerfully across everything you shared.
What is?
Wisdom is not something you find, it's something you become.
Become?
Yeah, it's not hidden in dusty books or ancient ruins or some secret society. It's hidden in your daily choice, in your willingness to question, your courage to truly see, your humility to change and grow.
It's an active process.
Absolutely. The modern world might glorify superficiality, but that absolutely doesn't mean you have to. You can choose differently. You can choose to awaken, to quest, to seek.
And in doing that,
you become a genuine light. And what often feels like a pretty bewildering dark, because wisdom, it may not trend, it may not go viral. It probably won't entertain the masses.
But it endures.
It endures. So remember, think deeply, live wise, and never, ever underestimate the silent revolution that truly begins within you.